Week 6 of the trial for Joaquin El Chapo Guzman continues today.
El Chapo.
Well, yesterday, the court heard from a witness who actually sought out the DEA, a first for members of the jury. Chicago's infamous drug trafficking twins, Pedro Flores and his brother Margarito, were key to El Chapo's U.S. operations from 2005 to 2008. Both were sentenced to 14 years in prison in 2015 after turning state's witness.
Well, yesterday, Pedro Flores told the jury the two hid the drugs in some of New York's best neighborhoods on the assumption that cops would be focused on poorer parts of the city. He also said he made recordings of the drug king, and one of them was played in court. In it, El Chapo's son can be heard arranging a meeting between the brothers and his father. CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman joins us now from a rollicking day in this ongoing trial. What did the brothers have to say?
Well, the brothers are fascinating, at least to me, because they seem to be far more contemporary. You have young people. I mean, these guys are in their 30s. They were big into the cocaine business, or as we call it, the narco business. They were in Chicago, my hometown. They were in Chicago, and Chicago is a wonderful place to become a drug distributor because you are in the center. So
of the country. Yeah.
Tons of drugs going through to these two twins. They create then the distribution operation to send it to other parts of the country, not just cities in the Midwest. There were tons. We're not talking about kilos. We are talking about tons of cocaine that went through their distribution system.
If it's such a good business, why'd they turn?
Well, I think it's an interesting story. It's that change of heart. What is going to make me, as we used to say in the business, what's going to cause you to do the right thing? And what that meant in the law business is, when are you going to cooperate with the government? Not when are you going to become a good guy, but when are you going to cooperate with the government? So what happens is, one of the brothers' wives gets pregnant. He realizes in a moment of deep reflection that he has been in the drug business since he has been 7 or 8. It goes all the way back to the time of his father and his father's work within the drug business, and he's going to have a child. And this creates a life crisis for him. And his story is that he didn't want his children to live the same kind of life that he had led, where you're always worried that at any given point in time, you could be dead, you could be tortured, and that you're living a life constantly in fear, no matter how many millions or billions of dollars you make, because one day it could be your last. So he and his brother, twins after all being close, they decide that they're going to turn state's evidence. They go reach out to the Drug Enforcement Administration. They decide to make recordings, which is very, very dangerous. And they work cooperatively with the government for quite some time.
So what's this business about hiding the cocaine in wealthy neighborhoods? I thought, boy, there's a stereotype for you. That really, the police won't look for the cocaine in those upscale, high-end neighborhoods.
It actually is really clever.
What does that say about law enforcement?
Well,
they're easily duped?
I'll go back to my statement from Monday, which is it's not that the police are so smart, it's that the criminals are so stupid, usually. But in this case, it makes you understand that they really knew how the game was played in terms of law enforcement. Remember, they're not only dealing with local police in Chicago, they're also dealing with federal. You're dealing with DEA, in particular, the Drug Enforcement Administration, as well as dealing in certain cases with the FBI or ATF. So they know this. Well, we used to put stuff in what we call stash houses. The stash houses were in poor neighborhoods. There was lots of trafficking that came along in these poor neighborhoods. Eventually, some neighbor calls the cops. And so they decide that perhaps in the way we think of as spies. Where did MI5 in Britain put its safe houses? They were not necessarily all in poor neighborhoods either. So these stash houses, which really were there to stash drugs, they're there in order to become somewhat more invisible.
What about the wife? Because I know she wasn't there. He looked like he was all nervous looking for her. Is she back? What happened to her?
Well, she actually did something that many a mother would do, which is that she has twin daughters. The lawyer for El Chapo explained that there is nothing untoward here, that she was here for the holidays, she was going down to be with the daughters, and that she would be back after taking care of some things and celebrating the holidays with them. Now, if that is a true statement, the real question is, why didn't the lawyers communicate that to El Chapo? Or if they did, have we just made up his looking around behind him, and we just decided that he was frantically looking for his wife? You know, one of the things about El Chapo, that he's so isolated. He is not allowed to have any contact with anyone except for his lawyers. So we often attribute emotional states to him, which may or may not be true. One of the things I do think that came out in my looking at what happened to the wife is just that truth is stranger than fiction, fiction is stranger than truth. Apparently that the wives of the twins, Olivia and Mia Flores, have published an acclaimed memoir called Cartel Wives. You bet your bottom dollar I'm on my way to buy it.
I sense a reality show in the works here. It's got the makings of all of that stuff.
My real regret of all of this is that there is no camera in the federal courts. If this case were televised, it would be on every network.
I bet.
And we'd be watching.
Yeah,
Instead, we get to talk to you about it. Rikki, thanks so much.
Great to see you. Have a happy holiday.
You too.
As well.